Hey guys, welcome back to part 4 of our Transition to Military series, Exiting the Military on Top. Now listen, today we're going to talk about educating yourself for transition. Now there are a lot of resources out there to help you to prepare for transition. I'm just going to name a few, but there are so many you can add to this list. And the first thing and the most important thing, and it's also a requirement, go to your branch's transition class, not once, but twice. And if you're married, take your spouse. I can't say that enough, guys, because listen, the first time you go through the transition seminar, you're learning everything for the first time. The second time you go through, which should be about 6 months later, you will have started to implement some of the steps that you've learned. So that second time you go through can just affirm your actions, and you can kind of polish everything, right, and get just a little bit better the second time through. So go twice, take your spouse. Next thing, there are a lot of folks out there that offer free transition seminars. So many nonprofits that support veterans. So be mindful of that. Take a look. Keep an eye out on LinkedIn. Keep an eye out on the online, and go to your transition office and see what they've posted, because a lot of times they'll post, offerings for these seminars. I went to one put on by a group called Centurion Military Alliance. Shantae Hall and her folks, man, just did a great job. It was only one day, but I think I got as much value out of that one day with them as I did with 5 days out of my branch's transition readiness seminar. Attend Onward to Opportunity. Guys, Onward to Opportunity is one of the greatest things going for military folks, for veterans, and for military spouses. Because not only do they put on a fantastic 4-day transition seminar, but they'll also pay for you to get a certification. And they offer 20 or 30 different certifications in everything from HR to project management to IT. So go out there and Google them, look them up. They are partnered with the Institute for Veterans and Military Families through Syracuse University, and man, they do a great job. So do go out there and get involved with Onward to Opportunity, because you will not regret it. The next thing I'll offer you is attend Boots to Business through your transition office. I did that. Listen, if you have any idea that you might go the entrepreneurship route, listen, you won't regret that. Also, there's a fantastic book out there on Amazon right now. I think it's less than $10. It's called The Transition Mission. It's written by a guy named Thompson. Very easy read, about 90 pages, I think. And it just kind of chronicles his transition journey out of the Army. And I'll tell you, you're going to pick up some stuff in there that's heavy. But I also follow Herb on LinkedIn. So that relationship that I have with him on LinkedIn was also amazing. Now, the last thing I'll offer you is go onto LinkedIn and get to know some of the long ball hitters in transition. Matt Quick and Herb Thompson helped me out tremendously. Kirk Windmuller, you got Bill Kiefer out there. Hey, get to know those folks. And there are so many more out there that I didn't name. Get to know those folks, follow their content, and just learn from them up until you're ready to transition out of the military. Hey, listen, I hope this helps you out. If you ever have any questions, reach out. Semper Fidelis, talk to you around the bend. Well, hello there. If you've been following me, we're going through a transition series right now called Exiting the Military and Coming Out on Top. Now, today's topic is going to be about networking, and I'm going to start by talking to you about the core of your network. Now, the core of your network is made up of about 3 main groups of people. First main group of people is what I like to call your peer advocate or your peer support. And that's somebody who's going through transition with you. My peer support or my peer advocate was a guy named Joe Henry. Let me tell you, Joe is an amazing guy, super listener, great communicator, and just a guy that gets it and he cares. You need a Joe Henry in your life. That's somebody that shares their transition experience with you. They share resources, you share resources with them, and the two of you are better for it because you have synergy. Now, the second group of people that needs to make up the core of your network is what I like to call the big brothers or the big sisters. And these big brothers and big sisters, they're folks that they transition 1 to 3 years ago, right? So they've got long hair now, they've got a beard, maybe not the big sisters, but they got a beard, they got a little bit more gray hair, they got a civilian job, people call them by their first name. Those people can tell you a lot about the civilian world and a lot about transition. The folks that I used for that was a guy named Matt Quick, you hear me talk about him all the time, and a guy named Herb Thompson. I also talk about him all the time. They were my big brothers in transition. Now, the third group that make up the core of your network is going to be the aunts and uncles. That's somebody who's transitioned 5 to 7 years ago. Starting to get a little bit hazy transition. They're starting to forget they were in the military, but they could tell you an awful lot about the civilian world. Guy that helped me through that was a guy named Doug Wadsworth, or Uncle Doug. You know, old Uncle Doug, he was my chief of staff at Marine Corps Base Hawaii, so I saw him every day because I worked in the same office with him. He taught me a lot about civilian employment, and he probably didn't even realize he was doing it. He was just being him. So listen, you need a Joe Henry, you need a Matt Quick and a Herb Thompson, and you need an Uncle Doug Wadsworth in your life. But you also need to try to be those people for somebody else on down the road. Hey, hope this helps you out. Semper Fidelis. Talk to you around the bend. Well, hello again and happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hey, welcome to our 6th installment of our transition series, Exiting the Military on Top. Hey, today we're going to talk about informational interviews. For those of you that don't know, an informational interview is simply when you sit down with somebody who's either in a company that you're interested in a position that you're interested in, or maybe in a target area that you're interested in, and you just interview them, and basically what you're doing is you're just questioning them to get as much information about the company, the position, or the target area that you can in order to shape your decisions moving forward. A friend of mine named Steve Houck put a really interesting spin on this idea called hashtag 1,000 cups of coffee. And what Steve did is he decided that every week he would try to have just a cup of coffee with one person and turn that cup of coffee into an informational interview. By the end of the coffee interview, he would ask that person for, 2 or 3 other recommendations of people that he could interview in in that company or in a similar position or in that target area. And that just continued to build and build and build each week until Steve, found himself in a position where he had done quite a few informational interviews. We all acknowledge that these types of things are important for transition, but we just don't do them. Steve was very intentional about it. Now, at this point, you may have noticed this big clown behind me right here, Frosty, right? Yeah, take a bow, Frosty. When my wife put this up the other day, I said, babe, ain't it a little early for Christmas? And she said, it's never too early for Christmas decorations. It's kind of the way informational interviews are. You might think that you should only start informational interviews a couple of months out. No, you need to start them well ahead of time because it's never too early for informational interviews. Hey, hope this helps you out today and shapes your decisions moving forward. Semper Fidelis. Talk to you around the bend.